On the first day of Christmas, namely 90s, gave to me Santa holding a store hostage.
Welcome to Namely 90s, the podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right, you're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@namely90s. And if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, to get signed up for one of our support levels. And today marks a very special episode as we embark on the third annual 12 Days of Christmas specials.
Woo!
I know, it's third annual. That's shocking.
I know.
But we're doing it again. It seems to be a formula that works. We always love having guests, and it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, it's really nice to be able to like bring other podcasters on to talk and kind of give back to our little indie podcasting community and
gives it some variety. They're good episodes. For sure.
And it fills in that kind of little gap between the end of the year and when podcasters take breaks. So
yes. So
if you're out last minute Christmas shopping right now, like I am, I know I appreciate being able to listen to 12 episodes each day from the 21st to the end of New Year's.
So join us over the next 11 days as we bring you 11 new episodes. But today we have some fresh blood. Brandon.
12 episodes.
Over the next 11 days from today. Okay. Well, you know what?
I mean, technically this year it's 13 because
lucky number
Monday falls right after we finish these. So yay. Anyways, today our first guest is someone that I got to kind of work with on a different podcast that wasn't either of ours. Everything 90s, if you remember Shalina from last year. It's Prime from the Prime Nostalgia Podcast. Hi, Prime. How's it going?
Yo, I should do my thing. So I'm going to say it's me, the PRIM me. What's up?
Yeah.
Welcome.
If you want to throw out your PR, I have the blurb about Prime Nostalgia Podcast being a nostalgia podcast hosted by Prime, who we have here, and Leon Frierson from Frierson. Wow. Yeah, maybe you should do it. I can't read this morning. But some of you that listen to Namely 90s probably remember Leon from the original run of All That. I think he was the class with Danny Tamborelli and was Christy Knowings, I think. Yeah.
And also Nick Cannon and Mark Saul.
Oh, snap.
You see, they were smart enough to have a nostalgia podcast about the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They're not stuck in the 90s like we are.
Yeah,
smart.
We're a little confined, but yeah, tell us about your podcast, Prime. But you're also
my podcast is a nostalgia podcast. Like you just said, we do topics about the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. Sometimes interview people as well, so that's nice. We kind of just like to keep it between topics, brackets, interviews. We like to keep it a big bunch so that it's enjoyable for many different people.
I love that about your podcast. Like you have a whole wide breadth of, like Andrew said, you have the range, but you also mix it up. Like, you have an episode on the Santa Claus, and then maybe the next episode is an interview with like Christina Kirkman, which I'm not jealous that she's like a a friend of the show of yours. But yeah, that's it's really cool. Like, I think your most recent episode was an interview with was it Theo Peoples, who joined the Temptations in the 90s. Like, that's
Theo is a nice guy. He's pretty cool. He's one of my favorite singers.
That's so cool that you're able to pull in those guests,
Actual celebrities,
Yeah.
like light celebrities, granted, but
Yeah, they're cool. You know, I've had Keenan, like you said, Christina Kirkman, Allison Stoner, basically half of all the cast of all that, except for like 2 or 3.
whoa.
So I'm doing all right. I'm doing
yeah,
good.
it's those episodes especially are fun for me because I definitely watched the original run of all that, and then maybe also some of the 2002 era. Is that second gen? I don't know how we define it, but because there was a gap between 2000 and 2002. But
Yeah, of roughly 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, it was canceled for
sad.
for a little bit. But yeah, it's cool to kind of relive my childhood through your podcast, which I guess is what we do here on our own podcast too.
More or less.
Yeah. Where did this podcast come from? How did it start? Andrew's usually the better interviewer. I'm terrible at asking.
No, that's a good question. Let's hear the answer.
Okay. I am so sorry. My dad called me in the middle of this. So that's why I'm kind of keep muting. Can you repeat the question one more time?
What are the origins of the Prime Nostalgia podcast? How did it start?
I was just bored one summer, and I was like, let me just kind of go back and review all the stuff from my childhood, and then I just kind of started it. I actually was going to start a wrestling podcast, but I was like, a lot of people have those.
Sure.
At the time when I started my podcast, there wasn't that many nostalgia podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is, but when I started, it wasn't that many. So
we just sprung up like weeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it really came into fruition. So yeah.
It's a low barrier to entry for podcasting. So, but very few of them, I think, last a long time. So obviously there's some longevity there, which is appreciated. Yeah. It means you like what you're doing,
Yeah, I think you're almost at the 150 mark for episodes. That's really awesome. And yeah, it's so you started the podcast. How did you meet Leon? Are you old friends?
So I had Leon as a guest on, and after the show, he was kind of like, haha, maybe I should join the show. And I was like joking. He said do an episode, and then afterwards we just started talking, and I gave him an audition. I put him on the audition for like a month.
Mm-hmm. He
wasn't official, and then he just became official because people just like the chemistry. So
yeah, nice. That's awesome. It's good to hear you guys banter back and forth. Yep.
What's the release schedule on this? I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to listen.
So we used to release every Friday, but we took a hiatus, and we're just now kind of getting back from the hiatus. So I don't know if we're going to be every Friday still. We're going to be like a different day, but at the moment we're still on Fridays.
Weekly can be a tall order, but especially if you're producing good content, sometimes you need more than a week. That.
Well, hey, look, okay. Funny story. One year we did all that week, which we had all that cast member every day for like 7 days straight. No, 5 days straight. Sorry, 5 days. And that was cool, but also we kind of recorded them like the day of.
Wow.
Which was very difficult. Yeah. So like the first day we recorded ahead of time, but then the second day we couldn't really get anybody, and everybody wanted to confirm on the third day. So we had to record all of them like in the third and fourth day. So it's kind of like, yeah, it was kind of like the day of, and that week we had Angelique Bates, Katrina Johnson, Danny Timberlake, and Mark Saul. And then that's when we ended it with the reunion of all that. So there's a lot.
I feel like as a podcast consumer, it's the best when, all of a sudden there's more episodes than you'd ever expect, which doesn't happen with the big ones, but it's like, I'm caught up. I need more content here. And then like 5 episodes drop. That's cool.
But at the same time, I can appreciate how crazy that scheduling is, because having to schedule for this thing is it's like pulling teeth on both sides.
Yeah.
And it was definitely easier too in the pandemic because nobody could go nowhere. So that's kind of, you could
that's true.
Travel, but you can be like, well, where are you going? So
yeah, I mean, even Andrew can appreciate having to weird schedules for recording, and which is why we appreciate you coming on. By the way, we
of course.
And so I guess the other thing we always like to do is have you give us the socials. Where can you be found?
Oh, that's right.
If you just like look out your window and call out my name, I'll probably hear you. But no, you can follow me personally at KVNG Prime Time. Follow the podcast at Prime Nostalgia Pod. We're getting our socials retooled because I like to upload the short videos, but like I never could figure out the right way to do it, especially with Instagram, because it changes. It goes from the big square to the little square to I don't be knowing how to do these things sometimes. So I'm trying to get that right to where I can fit the video in the square, and then it's good enough for the big square as well. So,
not to mention that $8 a month for the verified check on Twitter, right?
And we don't need to be verified.
No, there will be no verification going on here. I don't think that's happening.
Just watch out for the imposter Namely 90s Twitter account. It's out there.
It could cost our stockholders tens of cents.
Yes.
There's a lot of verification pages that are funny though.
Yeah, it's been fun watching Twitter destroy itself in the last week. But yeah, okay, so that's Prime Nostalgia. We met on Shalina's episode, I believe. We debated, didn't we?
I think we did 90s theme songs or
yes,
that's right.
The 90s.
And I remember I lost the on episode debate because Shalina was judged for that, but I think I pulled out the win on the listener vote.
Yeah, we did 90s versus 2000s theme songs, and I had a pretty good list. You had a pretty good list, but I think
you kept coming with those bangers.
Since you had Power was yours, it's like, all right, well, we automatically gonna take this one because you can't beat that.
Except for Shalina, who didn't watch the Power Rangers growing up, so it didn't.
I got lucky. Yeah, I got lucky there.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time, and we've been talking about. I think that was all the way back in like February or March, and we've been talking about collaborating for a while, and it just hasn't happened yet until now. So I'm glad you're able to be on the show, and let's see. So I guess our next question usually is, do you have any like 90s Christmas or holiday memories you want to share with us before we get into talking about Moesha?
I'm gonna just say it's never like it was in the TV shows and the movies.
No,
I was looking forward to that every single year. It never happened. So I was not to say I was disappointed. I was just like, yeah, I've never experienced this like at all ever. So
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's always idolized.
Like sitcom Christmas is a very formulaic in a sense.
And this episode does hit some of those marks. Part
of it is like most people are decorating like November 28th, and then in these shows it's always like the day before or Christmas that they're like doing all this stuff.
You got to shoehorn the plot in together.
Yeah.
My sister decorated like November 1st.
Yeah.
No,
I'm on board with that. I kind of, there's this whole new thing going around about people like, shaming people for putting up the holiday stuff too early. I'm like, if that's the small if that's the small glimmer of hope and joy in your life, like, I don't care when you do it. It's fine. Like,
I don't think for me, it's not shaming those people. For me, it's shaming the commercial stores. Like Costco had Christmas stuff in the Halloween section before Halloween was over.
But, if someone wants to decorate their house after Halloween for the holidays, like, let's let them have that.
It's just as Americans, we have that Thanksgiving gap. So it's like, do you leave fall decorations up for a little while, or do you go full Christmas? That's a personal choice, I guess.
I don't do anything, so but I'm just saying, like, let people do what they want. It's fine.
I have a tiny Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Let's see.
Why don't you tell Moesha. There you go.
Sorry. So I guess we didn't even introduce what episode we watched yet. We kept you all waiting out there, listeners. We watched Moesha, season 4, episode 9, A Class Act Christmas.
Which I thought said A Class Action Christmas.
That's small text. But before we get into the episode, what's everyone's experience with Moesha? Prime, do you want to start?
Moesha was a cool show that we just watched back in the day, and everybody knows Brandy. Well, Brandy's a big star now, and this is like, she was a star here, but she still had some more starring to do, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
And this was like a mainstay in my house, at least. But then I didn't remember everything about it, and then when I was in high school, there was this channel, I forgot what it's called, like Centric or now it's called BET Her, but it's something else. And that used to come on every day. It was like Moesha, like 5 episodes of Moesha and 5 episodes of Sister
in
a row. I wouldn't watch them all, but outside I would know that they were on. But yeah, every day it was that. If not that, then it was oh my gosh, I can't think of the show right now. But it was those shows back to back to back to back.
I remember In Living Color was on a lot, but probably not during the day.
I don't think they could play that during the day.
Yeah, it's sandwiched between Moesha and Sister, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our family, we watched it. I don't know that we watched it like every week. Probably more syndication or something like that as well.
Yeah, syndication.
But I don't have any specific memories, but of course I remember that the main character is played by Brandy. I mean, it's a show I've definitely seen before, but not all the way through.
Yeah, same. I remember I also had the blurb that so it was on UPN. It originally was aired on UPN, and it was one of their biggest shows during the network's run. I know I've seen episodes. I know I've watched Moesha before because I remember Brandy playing her. And the theme song gets stuck in your head, so I know I've seen it before, but I know I probably haven't watched this show in over 2 decades. And but yeah,
I guess CBS missed out when they declined to
so it was originally ordered as a pilot for CBS, but they declined and CBS picked it up, which I never understood the relationship between like CBS, UPN, CW, like, because they're all, CBS and UPN were owned by the same Paramount, I'm pretty sure. But
I think what happened with CBS is they were so busy making like 26 versions of NCIS and CSI that they're like, we just don't have room for another show.
They definitely have a geriatric demographic in mind.
They do.
No offense, Andrew. I know you watch CBS all the time.
I mean, I'm an old person at heart.
I like that they put it on UPN because they started something special. Then they started putting different shows, and then UPN just became a good channel for like people to watch. Like,
I mean, CBS probably would have ruined it, honestly.
Yeah. They have more freedom to be on
UPN.
Less pressure, I think.
Especially with some of the topics that we'll get to later that are mentioned in this episode as well. So.
Oh yeah. Although, some of the themes definitely probably would have been championed by the gray hairs that watch CBS. Let's see. Shall we get into A Class Act Christmas?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
All right. So the episode opens up. The cold open is a dream sequence that Moesha is having. just trying to illustrate what Christmas life in LA is.
I was very confused by that, but I'm not a watcher of the show, so I was like, "Who is this guy? Like, what's this floating head talking about?" It was her boss, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was Eddie, her boss. So basically, I liked the fact that they had a lifeguard station wrapped in wrapping paper.
Oh yeah,
and like they had, it was like a weird green screen sequence because there's a beach in the background and snow in the foreground, and somehow everyone kept popping in. But it didn't look bad for 1999 ish.
I think this was maybe 98.
98, yes, that makes sense. Yeah, season 4 would have been 98.
I mean,
99.
Compared to the CG and the Santa Claus, which I watched shortly thereafter, it wasn't bad.
That's fair. You dream all I had was it was weird. She even in her dreams she says she can't escape Eddie. We get the banging intro, the Mo to the Isha,
classic theme song.
Oh yeah.
That then brought up my favorite thing, which was, because I watch with subtitles, because apparently there's this whole thing about how millennials watch and Gen Z watches with subtitles more than any other generation. I'm not sure what that's about. Something about how they have to mix the audio now and how it's really hard to hear for all the different streaming services. But I just love for every time there was transition music, it just said in brackets, R&B Christmas music. And I was like, that's really the only way you can describe that. I mean, it's not
Merry Christmas music number 5.
Yeah. Is that a Lou Vega Christmas album? Generic Christmas number 5?
For some reason, I can't watch subtitles because I read ahead and I'll be liking to be surprised sometimes. And I guess that's just the me thing.
Yeah, I do well with them, but what gets really annoying is when they're off and they get, like, if they're off from the actual talking, it totally throws me off.
They are getting better about not spoiling stuff with the subtitles because of the whole millennials watch with the subtitles thing.
Or you can just watch like live sports with subtitles because they're delayed like 10 seconds and it's very confusing.
I assume I live far enough away from my neighbors that I can just have the loud blaring music and then like normal speaking voice with the audio all the way up. So
fair point.
Also reading. So yeah, it's Christmas Eve, so I was confused. I thought it was Christmas Day.
Yeah, don't you cross off the day when it ends and not at the beginning?
Yeah, so they show a calendar being crossed off and they cross off the 24th, and I'm like, so it's Christmas Day?
Well, I guess some people do cross off the day when they wake up or at the beginning of the day.
I guess so.
Depending on what time they go to sleep, maybe they don't have time to do that when they go to sleep. So they just.
But did anyone notice it was a Santa Claus, like gloved Santa Claus hand?
Oh, was it?
It was wearing a white glove and had like kind of a red, I think like a red cuff or something. So they're trying to imply that Santa Claus was checking off.
I mean, we did have a Santa in this episode, so it could have been Santa. Like,
it could have been that guy.
This is how many days that they done declined me or something.
He sets a gun down on the calendar after.
The opening of this part of the episode, Moesha's dad comes in with the Christmas tree from his car lot or dealership, sorry, and It's
in bad repair, certainly.
It's a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Moesha's brother shows up. I forget his name. I don't recall it being said during the episode.
I don't know.
But they talk about flocking the tree, and then he lists off all the things he wants for Christmas, including a very dated WCW versus NWO video game, which I was like, wow, that takes me back.
I didn't understand the reference, but that's me.
Yeah, I wasn't huge on wrestling, but at least I knew the acronyms, and I was like, wow, that's a few decades old there. And
he also they included something in a former episode. He was like, I've been good this year, minus that drug problem.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I was like, wow, okay.
There's an episode where he was smoking in it, so I was like,
I was like, that's a very random comment to just slide in there. I was like, okay, so it was a reference to a previous episode. Got it.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes before, but he was caught trying to be cool, smoking weed in this house, and then Moesha caught him. So.
Okay, thank you for the context on that. That is like, I thought they were just like a one-off.
No. But then after that episode, Moesha ran away, so that's why he said you get extra because you brought back your sister. So
I was wondering about that. I was like, did she move away and he brought her back? Okay.
All right. So by the way, just full context, the dad is sometimes too strict for Moesha, and she's like, yeah, I'm just leaving. And he'd be like, I don't care, you can leave. And then when she leave, he'd be like, yeah, leave. And then when she actually do it, he'd be like, no, come back. So
seems a bit toxic.
It was 90s.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he let her leave the house. Like, okay, real quick.
Yeah.
You see what she had on, right? It was like a t-shirt and some sweatpants and a jacket. Usually when she had that on, he'd be like, no, you're not going nowhere. But today he was just fine with it, I guess.
He's like, okay, bye.
Every other episode, that's like, you got to do something else. But this one, he was like, okay, cool. You know?
I mean, I feel like that wasn't even that scandalous of a outfit.
Exactly. But it don't even be like that. And he'd be like, go put something else on.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a classic trope, but wow, I like.
Yeah, the well isn't very deep when it comes to sitcom writing, unfortunately.
That's fair. Speaking of which, they have Hakeem, which is also works at the store with Moesha.
Also RIP. So yeah.
Oh snap!
Oh yeah, that's right. But it's the guy. He is the stereotypical guy who just randomly comes into the house like they never have their doors locked guy. There's always one of those in a sitcom.
Kramer.
In this room, it's 3 or 4 people that's like that for this family.
I assume Moesha's best friend does that a lot.
And the other girl that was there.
Well, we were pointing out like some of these they live in Chicago and they just like leave their doors unlocked all the time. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where do they live? This is LA, right?
This is LA. Yeah.
No, I know. I think when we did the Family Matters episode, we were like, why?
Family Matters, Two of a Kind. They're like
Two of a Kind as well.
All of the sitcoms last year were basically based in Chicago. But yeah, it was refreshing to have an LA Christmas. And so Hakeem, Hakeem came with presents. And they go off to work, which smash cut forward to them being at work and them being overworked by the holidays. Moesha didn't buy her presents. Another classic sitcom thing for these specials.
Oh yeah,
I haven't bought my presents yet, and it's Christmas Eve, and there are things in my way from doing that. Which Moesha is stuck at work and unable to go buy Christmas presents, and that's the hardest thing, working at a mall when you just need to go shopping at the mall. Yeah, take a $5, get out there and buy some stuff. But unfortunately, the boss was just too strict. Yes.
Yeah, and the boss is also played by J. Anthony Brown, who's like a big comedic actor. He does a lot of stuff.
I recognized him, but I couldn't place where I knew him from.
He's in a lot of stuff. Like I think for some reason I think Drumline is one of his biggest roles because he's just such a annoying character in that. But everything else he just got does cameos. He's not like a recurring character in any show or anything.
That's fair, but those actors are always like, oh, I've seen him in everything, but I can't remember exactly what. But they're always good. They're always like perfect for their roles.
he always has the same tone. It's kind of like sassy, but like, kind of like in this. So I was like, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously a little over the top and a bit obnoxious, but but not untrue when it comes to people running stores. And the funny thing was, like, he was acting like that, so I assumed he owned the store, but it was like a national chain, and he was just a manager. Like, does anyone who's a manager at a national chain care that much? I don't think that they do.
I mean, he's probably one of those people that, like some people franchise it. Maybe he could have been.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Franchise, so technically he owns it, but it is a national chain.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So an older gentleman comes in to check on his job application status. Apparently, he's been trying to apply for a job here for 2 years. Was that? Did I imagine that?
He said 2 years, but I don't know, because I would have stopped trying if it's 2 years.
2 years, yeah. I don't know why.
Well, you could have robbed them last Christmas.
Yeah. Or
at
the very least, send an application out to a different store. I don't know why this particular place would be.
Is over 50 a senior citizen? That was my first question.
It is not.
I don't think that it is.
That guy could be 55 though.
Yeah.
He just said over 50 in general.
I believe you. Well, actually, I just heard that you can join the AARP whenever you want to, but generally the memberships start at either 55 or 65.
I just feel like 50 is the new 40, these 55. Days, but it was the 90s. So
yeah,
I mean, Marissa Tomei is 51, and I don't know why that just popped into my head.
Anyway, she was older than that.
Or maybe she's someone else is 51. Then Marissa Tomei is 57.
Mm-hmm.
I probably just blurred the 1 and the 7. I can't see so good anymore. Getting old.
You have to join AARP.
Yeah. But right. So this man, his name's Clifford Brown, comes to check on his job application. Eddie's all like, sorry, we're on a hiring hold right now. Haven't hired anyone since Labor Day. And then we learned that Antonio had just been hired. And like as Clifford is walking out of the store, he hears that the new guy is or there was a new guy, and he's like, what's going on here? And he's like, oh, he's just a part-time hire. It's not the same thing. Also,
we never see that guy again, by the way.
Oh, really?
No, later doesn't he later? I thought he said he tries to claim he's not an employee and then leave, but he won't let him or something. But he doesn't really get more lines.
In the episode, we see him at night. This is
you never see him again. I got you. Yeah. I thought he was like a regular. I don't know.
I thought he was a regular because I looked up his credits and it said he was in 8 episodes.
Oh, so just here and there.
Here and there, but not like he's not like a main. character.
Gotcha. Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because that's John Huertas, and he played one of the detectives on Castle, which is where I recognize him from. But he also was had a super tiny part on Spring of the Teenage Witch. That I was like, okay, it's crazy. He's in a bunch of random stuff. But I just thought it was funny to see him there. Because I'm used to seeing him in a suit and tie for detective work. And he had his hair was a little different.
Very slick.
Yeah, very late 90s.
Castle, that's a show that has like an infinite number of episodes. It's always on TV, and I've never seen more than 5 minutes of one of them.
I just watched the original run because I liked Nathan Fillion from Firefly.
Yeah.
Anyway, we see Mall Santa Clifford grab a realistic toy gun and come back to the store and holds it up.
My question is, I'm pretty sure this is right. Don't you go to the same amount of jail even if it's a fake weapon if everyone thinks it's real? I thought there was something like that.
Yes.
It's still considered an armed robbery or whatever hostage situation.
Yeah. Even if you just have your hand in the in your pocket the whole time.
Yeah, you're applying the presence of a weapon. So I just thought that was interesting. But it's always funny, and this is maybe a little bit of a spoiler alert, kind of like no one's ever prosecuted nearly severely enough for these types of things. They're like, oh, it's fine. He's just misunderstood. Although he went to jail at the end, but
also, yeah, we can talk about it when we get there, but I'm pretty sure they helped him evade arrest. And then,
Sorry, I got the cart in front of the horse.
Okay. So we get Santa Claus holding up Eddie's store.
I'm not gonna lie. Most of my lines that I laughed at came from J. Anthony Brown, because obviously he was like, that gun ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, that's a fake gun. Oh, hand in the pocket. He put out. All right, I'm gonna shut up now.
My favorite was someone asked, "Who are you?" And one of the girls was like, "Dang, you don't recognize Santa Claus?"
That's right.
Kim. Yeah, you can tell that was Kim. Kim is a friend, and she's their friend, their best friend, but she also had a spinoff show. Called The Parkers with her and Monique.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that went on for a long time. So yeah, so she kind of was in both of these at the same time.
I found her to be pretty funny.
That's probably why they gave her her own show.
Yeah, that's fair. She was good. So Santa Cliff he wanted to expose the injustices and wants the media to coverage to show how sorry, my yard workers apparently.
Yeah, no better way to expose injustice than by like murdering innocent people in a mall, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do it all the time. Dressed as Batman Claus. He threatens to kill someone every hour, starting with the youngest. The injustice he wants to expose is old people don't have jobs. I think
senior citizens.
I mean, sometimes they don't get hired after, Yeah, they just like
to his point, age discrimination does exist,
yes.
But obviously this would not be the way to go about effective change necessarily.
Yeah. But we also get a quick flashback to Moesha's house where her dad and brother have finished flocking the tree. And then before a decade or two before Frozen came out, we want to build a snowman, which instantly triggered me, and I had to go into a fetal position for a half hour.
Just let it go.
Yeah. I hate you so much. And they find out that the mall has been evacuated and there's someone holding hostages. So that that's the important part of that. And we get to
remember malls.
Yeah. What is a mall?
Malls are very, very sad now. I mean, there's a couple in bigger cities that are still pretty vibrant and cool, but like the ones that are my town are just, it's depressing to go into a mall. It's got to
be a proper city, or else it's very, very sad.
Speaking of malls, movie theaters don't even look the same no more. They don't have the neon lights and the big. It's just like a regular building, just say movies on it.
We still have one with it always looks under construction, but it's got this huge like scaffolding of like neon lights. I'm like, they have not updated this thing clearly since like 1987. But
remember when they used to like shoot the sky, like they would beam the skylights into the.
Were they Batman the movie theater?
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That used to be how it was, and it's like, why would you do this every night? People that live nearby must hate it.
They should just do it when a movie releases and just put that signal in the sky. Like new movie out.
It's a movie signal. We must go. Cheap. Yeah. I still go to movie theaters for the Marvel movies, but that's about it. Kim is on TV being interviewed.
This is one of my best lines from her. She was like, I think she says hey to her mom, and she's like, yeah, but I'm too fly to die.
Yeah, exactly that. I had that written down as well. And then I think also she describes Santa, like his outfit, without like saying it's Santa Claus.
Well, she doesn't realize, like in a way, it's like she doesn't even realize she's just describing an outfit.
Right, because the guy was like, "What did he look like?" Well, black boots, like white collars around the sleeves, and it's just like, oh, that was pretty good. And then they show the sketch artist rendering of the assailants, and it's just Santa Claus.
Yeah, and I watched the Santa Claus right after this, and
God.
that exact scene happened.
Yep.
Oh, it does.
That's
yes,
right.
it does. It's like he got a white beard. It was like Santa Claus.
So
by the way, I've watched the Santa Claus TV show. It's interesting.
Awesome. Is it? Wait, you
We're
said
watching,
interesting, not good.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to give it away if it was good, but it's interesting. It's good and bad to it. That's how I would say.
That's pretty much par for the course with these sorts of things, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'll probably watch it, but yeah, we actually did an episode on the Santa Claus recently. I think you did that last year, but yeah, our November special was the Santa Claus, which we haven't actually recorded yet at this point in real time. But yeah, back in the store, they start talking in young people speak, and the old guy's like, "I know what bugging means. I watched Clueless." I don't think he said that last part, but
he gave like a whole like line or something. And it was like, "Oh, Pops has been watching hip hop TV or something."
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's like, is he? Since he's out of a job, is he just watching the young people shows on TV? Well, I mean, yeah.
How's he have cable?
Fair enough.
If we're being honest, I think he has the money to pay for his bills. He just wants a job to just not be home.
That's fair.
That makes sense. He was an aeronautical engineer, so he had to have made some money at some.
Yeah, but if you wanted to look younger, could you just like cut off the mustache that nobody has anymore and the bald cul-de-sac? Like, you just had a bald head.
Yeah.
Also,
he could have shaved his head and looked 10 years younger.
If I'm an engineering firm and I'm hiring, like, don't I want someone who has 30 years of experience? Like, I don't. Yeah. The storyline doesn't super work for me, but maybe it's because he's kind of unhinged, and that's why he's not getting hired.
No, he said that they laid him off because he got up to a certain age.
I think in some industries, but I mean, aeronautical engineering, you want a gray hair to help guide the newer. It's weird.
All my aero professors that still worked in the industry were like 55, 60.
Clearly, I'm over analyzing this episode.
But all the astro professors were like late 30s.
And they have like messy hair and they're kind of zany, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and they would shit on Armageddon whenever they got.
They're like that guy from the Ancient Aliens show, that Greek guy that has like the crazy hair. That's what I'm imagining.
But it's Aliens guy. Yeah. So the hostage negotiator calls in. Moesha is the one that has to answer the phone and translates for him. He has that very, very good line about, "I want my dignity." And also, every male over 50 gets free Viagra.
I did enjoy the joke about the where the police hostage negotiator wanted to know if he was a postal worker.
Yes.
Like I feel like there are certain groups that like are fair game for making fun of. Postal workers are perennially just easy to make fun of. And it's sad because they went nuts and like shot a bunch of people, but yet people still think that joke's funny.
Well, just because they could say they went postal.
I know, but it's just it's a little dark, honestly.
Very,
like,
very dark.
How funny. Not really.
He just went and did a 9/11. Is how they're going to do that in the future.
Speaking of that, I've seen a TV show, Men in Black.
The cartoon. Yeah.
There's a scene just like that where they have like a blimp, and he was like, "Hey, you remember those Twin Towers?" He was like, "Yeah, not anymore." And then they showed it going towards the building, and it cuts. Like,
No
okay.
way.
Never
I'm
forget.
assuming that comes out before the actual event happens, but like, I was like, well, that's.
I'm trying
to like delete that episode from
That
history?
did not age
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Ooh.
I'm trying to remember because I watched that as a kid. Was that pre 9/11? Because Men in Black was pre 9/11.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
assuming it probably came out in like 98 or 99 or maybe even 2000.
That's crazy. Wow. Little prophetic there. Free
I thought it was-
Viagra.
Yeah. Free Viagra. That's forward thinking right there.
Oh yeah.
Pretty new drug at that time. Bob Dole. Every time I hear Viagra, I just think of those Bob Dole Viagra commercials, back in the 90s.
And I get it confused with the Pepsi commercial where he's watching Britney Spears. Bob Dole likes that. Moesha's family shows up on TV and gives a bunch of passionate speeches about getting her back for the holidays, and her brother has the clincher with the I don't want all of these toys that I'm listing off right now. I just want my sister back. And yeah. And it cuts to
he was really stoned when he said that.
He just wanted a job, and I was like, you're coming from a job that you just had to hold up the other
funny thing
store.
is, this is the first time, just this moment, that I've made the connection that he was a mall Santa. I just thought he was a dude of the Christmas. Yeah, obviously I'm stupid.
Well, he says it when he first comes in, I can't come back later because by the time I'm off from the Santa position, you guys will be closed.
Yes.
So he technically had a job that he was currently negligent at to hold up the store.
I mean, would you want to have a? Well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. But just no, I wouldn't want to be a Santa in the mall.
That's fair.
No, that sounds like a nightmare.
But is sales associate at a clothing store during the holidays really a step up?
Yeah.
More money. You
That's fair.
You just tell people already know what they're looking for. Basically, it's not like they go into the store for the first time. Like, oh my gosh, it's like,
what is this clothing?
It's not
like
constant interaction.
It's like Andrew wants a Nike shirt. Okay, that's what we're gonna look for, a Nike shirt.
That's fair, I guess. But
my question is, I mean, I'm not sure being a black Santa in an upper middle class LA was probably the most fun experience either. Just a thought there.
I mean, depending on which mall you go to,
True.
Yeah.
I don't really know LA well, but
they were
LA
supposed to be.
It's a lot of LA, so maybe he just went to his part of LA.
that could be. They said upper middle class. So I was like, I don't know what that means, but
That could mean like Culver City or like not Beverly Hills or Bel Air, but like
no, that's like upper classes.
yeah, so like it's like a little under that what regular people can be, but it's still kind of
the regular people who can afford to live in LA, I guess.
Yeah, because Moesha's dad owns a
auto dealership.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they probably are up in that area.
Nice.
Or out in the valley, like Karate Kid.
Good show. Their movie and then show subsequently.
Yes. Let's see. They help out. Okay, and then so once they're like, oh, we sympathize and have what's the syndrome where you fall for your
Stockholm
captors?
syndrome.
Yes. Once Stockholm syndrome sets in, they help the guy escape. They make Eddie dress up in the Santa Claus suit, and as he escapes, Moesha realizes the gun is not real and is like, well, that's messed up.
Yeah, it really is.
Didn't like the dramatic music behind it though.
Yeah, and then nothing pays off from that.
Because like usually in a show when they do like a dramatic, it's like something important. It was like, man, he had a fake gun the whole time. I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't.
We the audience do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't need.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then then it just wraps up the episode really quick. It's like Moesha does her voiceover. She's like,
he turned himself in the next day, or like after Christmas with his family.
Yeah,
she never got the presents. Roll
she never got the
credits,
presents.
and let's all go home.
You never got a present. There was a lot of presents under that tree. So like, you didn't get the presents, but okay.
But she got presents.
It was almost like they recorded it on Christmas Eve, and the crew was like, "All right, let's wrap. Let's get out of here."
That's true. But yeah, that's that episode of Moesha, a class act Christmas. Any final thoughts? I'll start with Andrew because he has to bug out.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. These sitcoms are digestible because they're only 21 minutes long. But if I had to watch like a 44-minute episode of something like that, that would have been a bit rough. But they got in, they got out, they got it done.
That's why most of the episodes this year will be 30 minutes or 20 minutes sitcoms.
Yeah.
Prime, your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I thought it was like a cool episode. Like I said, I had a suggestion the episodes. I watched them all to see which one would be kind of fun to talk about in a sense, or somewhat fun to talk about that y'all probably haven't necessarily seen. So I was like, okay, this one be good. I had one that was obscure. But I was like, the episode was just bad. Like it was a show that I like, but that episode was just bad. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Fair enough. We appreciate your due diligence on that. Yeah. We just pick. I'm like, oh, these seem fun, without knowing that it's the one episode of Zio that no one's transformed in. I thought I was not expecting how heavy the episode would get towards the end, and like the clear like actual great messages that it had, and then kind of I thought it would be I need to get presents, and that episode, that Christmas trope episode, but it's recommend it. Season 4, episode 9, Class Act Christmas. And that's it for this holiday edition of Namely 90s. Thank you to Prime of the Prime and Nostalgia podcast for coming on. Can you let our listeners know where to find you, Prime?
You can follow me at Prime Nostalgia Pod and KVNG Prime Time. We have more episodes coming out. I have an episode that I recorded a while ago. I just haven't put it out because I don't know. Maybe I'll just doubt myself. But now that since we're back in full swing, I might release this with a Power Ranger song. So I was gonna give it away, but I was like, no, it's with the Power Ranger that comes back often, and it's not the main one. It's not Tommy. So okay.
That's a cool tease. Look for that on all the major podcasting platforms. And as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bshwitty and at NamelyAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with 90s. And finally, you can also contact us through our website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Fake Gun, Deezer, TuneIn, Good Pods, iHeart, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. Thank you one final time to Prime of the Prime Nostalgia podcast, and we will catch you next time. Tomorrow.
Oh, fail.
For day 2 of our 12 Days of Christmas special.
Bye, everybody.
Ba-dum.